The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off. Welcome to I Had to Say It, the podcast where I not only say the things I need to say, but the things I think you need to hear. And your feelings, they're not a factor. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. So we are going to start out by saying to Josh, Iceman, Jason, Miss Aaron, Mike Tabby, Javier, Fitz, McShane, El Jefe, El Devlin, El Morte, the guys at the Weathered Report, and of course to Billy G. Thank you guys for your continued support. It means the world to me. You guys are so wonderful, so shiny, so special. I appreciate all of you more than I can say, despite all of my inane gushing at the beginning of every episode telling you how much I adore you. If you want to be adored, all you got to do, I keep every week, go click the links, sign up. All right, so I was going to start off by talking about the RNC that just wrapped up. And it was a lot. I didn't watch most of it. I watched clips. I had no desire to sit down and watch all this shit. We touched on it a little bit last episode. Trump's the nominee for the Republican National Convention, obviously. Picked J.D. Vance as his vice presidential running mate. Hulk Hogan showed up and ripped his shirt off, had a Trump shirt underneath it. That was a very poignant moment. Amber Rose came out and made a statement. She was honestly, she took a lot of shit on social media like the next day. A bunch of the narrow-minded, old-school, hardcore Christian motherfuckers want to sit there and be judgmental pricks and talk shit about how she was a leftist and she's a sex worker and she's not what the Republican Party represents and she shouldn't be coming at the RNC to be a speaker, which is exactly why these motherfuckers keep losing. They have a loser mentality. They keep pushing away people that they should be welcoming to the fold. They should be saying, you're right, come away from the left because they're destroying the fucking country. Come over here where things make sense and the world's rational. You don't have to agree with everything somebody does. We're not supposed to be a Christian nation. We are supposed to be separation of church and state. You're allowed to believe whatever the fuck you want, but nobody else has to live according to your values and your beliefs. And again, the narrow-minded far-right motherfuckers who want to say, no, you can't come to our party and you're not playing with our ball because we don't agree with how you live your life or whatever, those are the motherfuckers that are the reason that the Republicans keep getting their asses handed to them, because as much as I hate to give leftists credit for fucking anything, those motherfuckers fight to win. Republicans roll over. They show their belly. They're oh, well, we have the moral high ground. We're doing what we know is right, which, again, is why you fucking lose. So that's all the in-depth I'm going to go into this is there are a lot of far-right assholes who are really missing the fucking point when all these Gen Z and assorted people who were leaving the left, instead of welcoming them with open arms, they were choosing to be difficult pricks and say, oh no, you're not the kind of person we're looking for. People can change. People's beliefs can change. If you're going to push them away because they are not exactly as ideologically as pure as you think they should be, you're every bit as guilty as the extreme leftist assholes who want to say you're not actually a liberal if you don't believe that men can become women that can become dogs just by believing it. So, it's time to take a good deep breath and look in the fucking mirror if you're one of those people who wants to say all these people that are coming to the right aren't, the right kind of people and we don't want them. Now, I also kind of believe that conservatives are just, progressives going the speed limit in a lot of ways. And we talked about that and the backlash where they're starting to unleash cancel culture on people on the left for, bemoaning the fact that the shooter missed Trump and the whole cowgas Jack Black thing and all this other stuff. But again, I already touched on that. Don't really want to hang on to it because I need to address what happened today. It is Monday night. I'm doing a late night recording. Well, not late night yet, but it'll probably be late night by the time I'm done with all this shit to get this episode out, because all the stuff I had planned on Sunday kind of got thrown in the fucking trash can this morning when it was announced that Biden is stepping down and he is stepping out of the race for president. And he is hypothetically endorsed Kamala. I say hypothetically because the whole thing stinks on ice, but I'll get to that in a couple of minutes here. To give you a little bit of a timeline, Sunday, Biden was in Las Vegas. He was supposed to be there doing a couple of, campaigning things at different rallies, and he was supposed to be there, and all of a sudden he had to cancel it, and they announced that he was leaving because he tested positive for COVID. Now, there's a whole lot about this narrative that doesn't make any fucking sense, but the simple fact of the matter is, as soon as it was announced that Biden was stepping away from this because he had COVID, the conspiracy theorists already started spinning up their gears. Because, but a lot of them looked at it the wrong way. I was going to say because it's low-hanging fruit. Biden's got COVID again, and it's very serious because he's 80 fucking 3 or whatever he is, now 82, 83 years old. And that makes him, really susceptible to COVID. So he's in a really bad way, despite the fact that he's been boosted like 9 fucking times. If you believe that he's actually taking the shit and not taking the saline version that so many elitists got during this whole COVID bullshit. But I digress. So the press releases comes out. Biden's going back to D.C. or to Delaware to convalesce and self-quarantine. And that's on Sunday. And then shortly thereafter, we get an announcement Monday morning saying Biden's dropping out of the race. And he is endorsing Kamala Harris. Now, the rumor mill was saying he was going to drop out either way. It was as soon as the whole Biden got sick thing happened, the pundits started saying, yeah, he's going to drop out. This is it. This is the swan song. This is the moment. This is going to be their excuse. They're going to say he's dropping out. And the initial rumor was that he was dropping out and not endorsing Kameltoe. And that was, that I thought it was funny, but then we get a press release this morning, not on official White House letterhead, typed up, signed with a signature that doesn't look like a single piece of paper Biden's ever signed. The letters don't line up quite right, and there's a slash under the name, and for the fact that he's an egomaniac and he signs anything you put in front of him, there are plenty of copies of his signature floating around for comparison. He's never put a slash under the word Biden ever on anything he's fucking signed in his entire 50 fucking years of being a parasite. Never once signed his name that way. But on the official statement declaring that he's no longer the candidate and his endorsement of Kameltoe, that's exactly how the signature was written. So it really doesn't mesh up. And there's all kinds of things about this, like I said, where it really fucking stinks on ice. The first thing that really gets to me is that there is a lot of the simple fact is nobody's seen Joe Biden since Saturday night when he was whisked out of Vegas. And that's the first thing. Now, the world being what it is, the rumor mill's already started up that there are supposed whistleblowers leaking information that when he was in Vegas and he got loaded onto the plane, he was instead of being taken to the Las Vegas hospital, he was flown to a medical center on the East Coast, and the jet took off like it was an emergency, and a bunch of there's a lot of chatter basically saying that whatever was wrong with him was way more critical than him catching another case of COVID. But anyway, so as of Monday evening, Kameltoe is the presumptive Democratic nominee. The DNC is still going to happen, obviously. We've got the White House doctor issuing a statement saying that he's given Joe 10 doses of Paxlovid, which is a lot considering the amount of extra damage that shit does to your body. The side effects alone could be enough to kill an 82-year-old man, but I digress. They're trying to say he's alive. Kameltoe had a press conference today where she was allegedly talking to Biden on the phone. I say allegedly because at the end of it, she said, Joe, I can still hear you on the started to say recording and then said phone. It really didn't sound like him. It did not, sound like an actual conversation. It was very, very much. I mean, the popular theory is right now that it's an AI of Biden talking, but at this point, it's completely within the realm of possibility that they could be deep faking him still being, conscious, coherent, not in a fucking coma. Because there have been other slip ups in the media today. Biden's brother made a comment about that he's stepping out because he wants to spend the time he has left with his family, and now they're saying Kameltoe's flying up to the Biden estate to comfort the staff. Why would they need comforting if Joe's not like a fucking turnip? Not that he wasn't a turnip while he was up and moving around, but I mean like a full-fledged fucking vegetable in a fucking ventilator or something. There's a lot going on that's just not adding up. And the fact that all of a sudden they're saying Kameltoe fundraised, as soon as they announced that she was going to be the candidate, she fundraised like $81 million in less than a day, which is a record. And it's, it goes back to the whole Act Blue thing where there were literally tens of thousands of people on their donors list that had no idea their names were being used to donate money to their PACs. So, Democrats getting an obscene amount of money in a short amount of time for fundraising is nothing new. And I'd really love to know how many of those $81 million were from, little small donations, $2,000-$3,000 from because they said it's a lot of grassroots donors and a lot of small donations, which again in political speak is still a couple $1,000s, which is not anything your average motherfucker can afford to be giving up, particularly in today's economic environment. So there's, again, that doesn't add up real well anyway. But the thing that I keep coming back to is the fact that this shit was done deliberately. Biden's health was obvious to anybody with more than half a brain since well before the fucking debate that woke up so many motherfuckers to realize they were being played and caused that mass exodus from the left that I was talking about a little earlier here. Or I don't know necessarily that caused it, but it definitely, helped it along. And so the people are looking at it like, well, if they've been lying to us about all this time, the thing that nobody's thinking about is Kameltoe was complicit in that lie. She knew he was not competent or functional, and in the interest of trying to keep her power, because I'm sure that's, to her mind, she was promised that fucking chair, and she's going to get it. So that's what made her bow out. I mean, well, that and the fact that she had literally 0 votes before Iowa in the 2020 primaries, and she went from, I believe that Joe was a pedophile rapist, to I'm honored to be your running mate, because they offered her the seat, and it's looking like she's probably going to get it. There's a very real chance that their play is going to be Biden slips away from some medical complication, and she becomes the sitting president. Yeah, it may only be for a few months, but then the Democrats get to tick that off their brag list, like, oh, well, we had the first female African-American president, despite the fact that she's, fucking Jamaican and Indian. But, again, It's all about optics with these fuck stains, and the people that support them are too fucking dumb to question the narrative. So realistically, it becomes, what we are looking at is functionally a coup, and the coup is thorough and it's in place, and there's still some infighting in the DNC. I mean, like Obama hasn't endorsed Kameltoe yet, and he's not a small figure whose endorsement doesn't matter. So the fact that he hasn't done it yet, and there's still potentially going to be some infighting, and there may still be an open call for the DNC convention, but I really doubt it because, like I said, allegedly she's got all these votes already pledged to her. And the speed with which the funds were transferred, the votes were transferred, means a lot of the mechanics of this were in place well before this actually happened. They were just waiting for the right time to do it. And it's really odd that it happened 9 days after somebody missed a shot at Trump. I mean, Trump was not supposed to miss. He was supposed to be dead. He was supposed to be a smudge. Tilting his head changed the course of the fucking world at this point. And realistically, I mean, it sounds like conspiracy talk to say it, but it's the truth. The deep state, the uniparty, however you want to look at it, was not planning on this man being alive right now. And that's one of the reasons Biden hadn't dropped out yet, because they figured if Trump was dead, he was going to be a lock. But they know he can't beat Trump. The polling numbers just show the fallacy is that any way, most popular president in America and most votes ever and blah, blah, blah. And he's got like a 30% approval rating, if that, if you trust the polls. They would have to cheat too big for it to be believable. And like I said before, regardless of how this election pans, there's going to be people saying it was bullshit. Regardless of who wins and loses, one side's not going to accept it. And like I said before, if the left loses, shit's going to catch on fire. And I say we sit back and let them fucking destroy their cities and just keep them kind of cordoned in there and let them rip themselves apart. They come out to the country, put two in them and find a friend with a hog farm. Fuck them. I'm all for defending your rights, your property, and your life. So do with that as you will. But ultimately, the thing that really is sticking in my mind about this whole situation is the fact that the people who have been ranting and raving about this man is a threat to democracy, and if Trump gets elected, it's the end of our democracy. And don't get me wrong, there are literally hundreds of thousands of morons out here echoing those points. The ones that still repeat that he is the next Hitler. He's literally Hitler. He's going to be a threat to our democracy. He's going to be a dictator. He's going to make himself God Emperor Trump. You know, all the delusional, disconnected fuckwads who just echo whatever talking point it is that their fucking chosen overlords have put in their fucking ears because they are smooth-brained NPC fucks. But the thing about it is, we are going to save our democracy by beating Trump. These motherfuckers have literally circumvented democracy in a total method, and it was completely deliberate. You could tell by how quickly the machinery was put into place to get Kameltoe the support and to literally take Sleepy out of the fucking race. It was a coup. They deliberately waited until after the primaries were over, till after he was the presumptive nominee, to say, you know what, and so I changed my mind. I'm hanging things up. And he was very stubbornly fighting this up until they missed the shot on Trump. And then it seemed like the winds went right out of his fucking sails, and all of a sudden his health is an issue and all this other stuff, and he's stepping out of the race because he's got to concentrate on his health. And like I said, the rumor mills are churning out shit. He's in hospice. He's dying. He's already dead. We don't have proof of life, which is the one thing people keep coming back to, that, you know, really we don't have fucking proof of life. All the statements issued, this is literally the first time, particularly with the massive influence of social media on our culture today, we have a sitting president who does not hold a press conference, who does not issue a statement with a video, who does not post. They literally did not go to the mainstream media to make the announcement that he was stepping out of the race on Sunday, but instead it was broken by a post on X. And that is where the White House staff found out about it. That's how the staff found out that he was stepping down from the race. And then, again, like I said, the signed statement that was not on the official White House letterhead, which seems like a really odd thing for the president not to have access to, and the mismatched signature and the utterly ridiculousness. And again, you know, like I said, I keep saying Kameltoe is the presumptive nominee because that's what she is right now. It's not confirmed until the DNC actually convenes and they have the official vote. But she's got enough pledges. I mean, could something upend the cart and something go wrong? Sure. Could all the massive shit skeletons in her closet start coming out back to the surface? I mean, it's not like there's secrets. The fact that she had substance abuse issues, the fact that she's a drunk, the fact that there's multiple things that people could point to saying, this is why you should not be the nominee. This is why, I mean, just foregoing the fact for a couple of minutes that she's completely unlikable. Like I said, in the last time she ran for president, she did not have a single solitary delegate going into Idaho, and it was enough where she had to drop out. She dropped out of the race. Tulsi Gabbard absolutely destroyed her in the fucking debates. That clip keeps coming up and circulating on the internet a lot today. So there's a very real chance they're going to try and find a way to ouster her before the convention, or make it where she can say, oh, well, I'm not taking this position because I have to do what's best for the party to make sure we beat Trump. That's going to be their narrative. However they manage to get her out of there, because they know she can't beat him. And realistically, I'm sure Hillary's still salivating in the fucking wings, waiting for a second chance at the fucking apple, but nobody's going to vote that bitch into office either. But, oh, and I'm not suicidal, by the way. But ultimately, like I said, I keep coming back to the fact that the Preserve Our Democracy motherfuckers did the most undemocratic thing they could do by removing the option of their voter base to partake in the process of deciding who their candidate's going to be. Instead of having the candidate who got the most votes, because it was a completely lopsided primary where they basically didn't run anybody just so Biden could just, kind of sleepwalk his way into the nomination. Now that's over, and so now it's on to the delegates, and I'm sure there's no money or favors being exchanged to influence the way those delegates will vote. I'm sure they'll vote based entirely upon the constituents' desires. Oh, wait, they don't know the constituents' desires because there's no primaries. So the delegates are just going to vote however they're fucking told. And they're trying to make a show of it. Oh, well, the superdelegates can't vote in the first round of voting, so that's only if we don't come to a conclusion in the first round. It's utter horseshit. It's very much manipulation. It is to the surprise of no one who understands it, this is a total, commie, right out of the fucking commie playbook maneuver to foster the illusion of choice while leaving the actual results in the hands of an elite few, which is how fucking communism works, because that's all the left is these days, is a bunch of commie bullshit. So we've got Kameltoe as the presumptive nominee, who would be a wonderful empty-headed fucking puppet for whoever's actually making the calls. Functionally, a lot of the pundits are saying, well, this will be Obama's fourth term if she gets elected. And that's a pretty big fucking if, because like I said, they would have to cheat huge. And they're already, all the leftist talking heads have already done their full stop and their swing around to, oh, well, no, this is for the best. And it was so brave of Biden, and he was such a great public servant, and he accomplished so much in his 4 years, more than most presidents get done in 8, which is utter fucking horseshit. But it's the left talking point. And all the paid for social media influencers are echoing the same shit like they always do. And so now we have this conundrum of, they're all back to the same fucking, they're literally echoing each other. They're all saying the same shit. And, she's going to wipe the floor with them. The fucking Republicans are terrified that and every single person on the left who was last week talking about how vibrant and dynamic Biden was and how the fucking Republicans were shitty people for bringing up his age. Literally all of them today are like, oh, well, Trump's too old to be president. How do you feel about that? And you got a couple people who are trying to say, well, technically, yeah, Kameltoe's still a boomer. She's right on the tail end of the boomer generation. So she's not exactly a fucking spring chicken herself, but she's significantly younger than Trump. But that doesn't make her not a fucking alcoholic, cackling hyena fucking retard. So I really don't understand what the flex they think they have is on this shit. But it is, to me at least, like I said, it's utterly infuriating, because anybody who can take a half a step back and look at things even slightly objectively can literally see this moving. It's not even subtle. It's not even manipulative with any kind of skill, because for by and wide, like the Department of Education, the U.S. public school system has bred a bunch of fucking donkeys that are just going to go along and, ooh, this is shiny, and if you don't vote for Kameltoe, you're a fucking racist and you're a fucking sexist because you don't want to vote for a black woman. If you put a qualified black woman in there, I'd be more than happy to vote for her if she was the best qualified candidate for the fucking job. When you put in a cackling hyena with no actual merits or accomplishments under her fucking belt, she was the border czar for the last 3.5 years, and 8.5 million illegals came in on her fucking watch. She has accomplished literally nothing during the last 3.5 years in office that gives any kind of inkling that she would be a competent or qualified candidate for this position. But if you come out and say that, you're going to be attacked and labeled as an ist or a phobe or an it. And if you're one of those people who actually gives a shit what those people think about you, you might be in a bad way. Me, I'm not. I don't fucking care. I'm going to say the truth, and I don't care who gets their nose out of joint about it. Now, fortunately for me, I'm not real worried about being doxxed or being any of this other shit, because, so be it. If that's what you're going to do, I'm still going to speak the truth. And also, I'm not important enough to really hold anybody's attention at this point. But ultimately, I'm still going to say what I got to say. And the other thing is, it seems like, the whole cancel culture, the left has lost the momentum on that one. So I really don't think they're going to be trying to bring that hammer to bear, because it's gotten to the point where a lot of people just don't give a fuck what these assholes have to say anymore. They spent so much time being used to being loud and screaming and crying and being treated like they're fucking special, even though they're just fucking morons, that they don't know how to cope or function when they don't get that little treatment, when they don't get that little extra, like, at a good job, sport. When they don't get that little extra praise, they just fucking implode. They fall apart. And it's kind of like we're watching it in real time. It's happening across the board. It's happening socially. It's happening politically. It's happening. These motherfuckers push too hard. They push too fast, and they went too far. And it's blown up in their face, and they don't know how to cope. They don't know how to deal with it. They by and wide, and I'm speaking in terms of the general population, the pushing and the going too fast was the behind the scenes power broker types. But I'm talking about the general population that doesn't know how to cope with it, and they don't have coping mechanisms. They don't have defense mechanisms. All they do is fall apart, and you can kind of watch it happen in real time as these motherfuckers start to realize how impotent they actually are now that the grown-ups don't fucking care what they think, what they do, and they're not going to indulge their screaming little fucking tantrums anymore. It's kind of a beautiful thing to watch, really. But yeah, so they ran a coup. They removed democracy from the fucking ballot, and it's not even the first time they've done it. Realistically, they haven't actually had a fair primary since 2008, because 2012 they had Obama as the incumbent. 2016 they basically fucked the primaries over so Hillary could get the nod and Bernie could get fucked. 2020 they rigged the primary for Biden, and here we sit. 2024 they ran Biden as the incumbent who's going to stay in the race until it was too late to do anything about it. And now, again, like I said, the wealthy elitists get to pick the candidate, and the general population has no say in the fucking matter. So much for preserving democracy, you smooth-brained fucks. Welcome to the States, comrade. This is how it's going to work. But there's always, the chance that they won't be able to cheat big enough to make it believable. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it pans out. But ultimately, that's where we're at on that. One other thing I wanted to touch on very briefly today, there was a hearing for the director of the U.S. Secret Service about the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. She literally sat in front of a board of Democrats and Republicans, said basically nothing. Her go-to line was, "I do not have that information." She gave them precisely fuck all in terms of any useful information, and got dragged by both fucking sides. AOC actually said something I agree with, which is not words I ever thought I'd hear coming out of my mouth. Because frankly, I think that empty-headed bitch was probably worthless as a bartender. She was the kind of fucking bartender who you ordered a beer and a shot, and that's it. Because if you ordered anything more complicated than that, she was going to fuck it up. You can tell it just by looking at her, but much less every time she opens her mouth. But she actually said something I agree with. She said that, how did the U.S. Secret Service not consider a building within the effective range of an AR-15, because obviously the left is going to try and use this as another attempt to grab all the firearms out of private hands in this country, disarm the population, and make us vulnerable little victims, because that's what they want. But I digress. She actually said something true, because she said, how is it that this building that was inside the effective range of an AR-15, the most commonly used firearm in America, which, by the way, is going to do wonders for punching holes in the arguments banning AR-15s in various states, including the shithole I live in. So, yeah, thank you for that, sweetheart. I really appreciate that. You finally did something good, you horse-faced donkey. But besides the point, she even said that, and she was right. Various people on both sides of the aisle were dragging this worthless bitch because she said nothing useful. But she's getting impeached. They've already started the articles of impeachment. She got told by one of the sitting congresswomen, that she was full of shit. Those were the exact words on record. It was great. She got chastised and told to maintain decorum, but it was too late. You can't unfuck that donkey. So it's really worth going and checking out the clips if you haven't seen any of it yet. Like I said, this broad is utterly worthless. She should be in jail, but it's painfully obvious at this point. It was a case of complicity, if not participation in the attempt. So there's no good look coming out of this fucking hearing. And she kept referencing, well, you'll have to ask the FBI. You'll have to ask the FBI. This is a case, again, Trump wasn't supposed to survive, and then all this shit would be classified for the next 60 years, and she wouldn't have to fucking worry about it. And you could tell she was completely unprepared when she got to the hearing. She got to the hearing, and her opening statement had been leaked several hours before the hearing. And when asked about that, her answer was, I don't know how my opening statement got leaked to the press. It's like, you are that fucking, you're either stupid or you're lying. And it could be both. So that worthless bitch, I feel her career is over. She should have stuck to guarding fucking Doritos. And I guess for now, that's what I had to say. Thanks for listening to another episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating. Go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list, interact with the show. Click the links, sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord. Come and interact, be a part of the show. Buy the merch, support your favorite creator. Or support me. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.